types of people that you want to hang around with. Students, fellow students. Now, as with anything, you're going to be spending a lot of time with a group of people. In training, you don't want to hang around with a bunch of tools or a bunch of arrogant sorts of characters. You've very much got different personality types in everything that you do. You've got different personality types at work. You know, in high school you had different personalities there. So of course, at martial arts school, you're going to have different personalities. It brings to mind, there's a scene in No Retreat, No Surrender Part 3 where Lauren Avedon's character goes back to his old martial arts school. And a very cheesy sort of scene, still fun. He meets up with his friends and he needs to recruit his friends for this mission that they're going on. I think the line goes something along the lines of, "Who do you want us to kill?" And then he takes out a photo of the bad guy and he says, "This guy." Almost a very laughable sort of a scene. But it wasn't until I actually started training in martial arts and training with a real martial arts school with good teachers and good students that I found that that wasn't too far from the truth. You spark up friendships, you become comrades. Some people get very serious in their friendships. There were certain things that I was going through in my personal life during training a long time ago. You know, some of these friendships that I had sparked up, I actually had a few business cards passed to me, a few phone numbers passed to me, a few talks after class. Hey, you know, something happens, you know, if you need some help, something hits the fan, you give us a call. So these are the types of friendships that you can spark up. These are loyal martial artists. These are proper martial artists. These are people that actually care about their fellow students. And that's definitely a great sort of school to get into. Very rare, and it's not really something you could search around for. If you manage to find yourself in that situation, great. Then you've got the schools where people are very much zombie-like. They're very much drones. They come in, they don't socialize. They're not the types of people you'd have a beer with. They just come, they train, and they vanish before you've put your shoes on and you're leaving. Nothing wrong with that. It's just you don't form bonds with these people. And when you're not forming bonds with certain people, you're not getting the fullest that you can get out of your training. Then you've got your non-deliberate, arrogant sort of characters. These are the ones that claim to know it all. You're a new student, therefore you know nothing. You may be a well-seasoned student, you still know nothing. How was it? It was explained to me one time by somebody that I once knew as the dojo darlings. These are the students that can do no wrong in the eyes of the teacher. You know, to some extremes can be quite brown-nosy, to the point where everybody in the room kind of looks at each other and says, "Seriously?" And there have been a few cases and a few people that I've encountered over the years who are very close to that, who are very close to, if not, that sort of personality. Also the ones that keep secrets. Obviously the best school and environment that you want to be involved in is one that is one of free knowledge. That's a nice looking form. How, you know, can you show me that? Sure, here you go. Let's work on that. Cool. But then with those guys, it's very much, "Oh, look, I'm not really going to show you that. I don't think you're qualified," or I don't have time. The types of people that don't want to demonstrate their skills. It's like, "Well, here, I've got my gloves and my mouth guard. Would you like to spar?" "Oh, I don't really, you know, I may be head student here and top shit, but I don't really want to spar." Why? That's part of the learning process. That's part of training. Maybe you're going to kick the crap out of me, fine. That's part of a learning thing for me. You know, that's part of my learning journey. Maybe I'll kick the crap out of you and then you'll lose all your school cred. I don't know. That sort of behavior doesn't benefit anybody, especially when somebody's eager. And there was one time where I was at a certain school, I had my gloves with me and my mouth guard, and I was very much wanting to do some free sparring. I got rejections. You know, if you do that at certain other schools, that's seen as quite insulting. If you were to bring that sort of thing up with people in another sort of a forum, they'll say, well, they don't want to spar with you because their techniques don't work, or they're afraid that they're going to be caught out as the frauds that they are. There's all sorts of scenarios in regards to that. It's just very rude to turn down requests for when somebody wants to spar. And it's not like I'm going around picking fights and saying, "Hey, let's rumble." And then you've got the super arrogant sorts of characters that you encounter, and I've encountered those in all schools that I've been involved in. They have a Bruce Lee syndrome, so to speak. They've got confidence coming out their ears, which is great, but there's also an arrogance there, and it's basically they turn their nose up to everybody in class. When they start talking about stuff, there's this real top shit sort of stuff going on. These types of characters that I've encountered, they're usually, I guess they have a chip on their shoulder. It's like, well, you know, my mother and father were an immigrant from so-and-so country, and they came out to Australia, and then I was born, I'm representing that particular country. It's like, well, where were you born? Where have you come from? You're from right here. You're not from that country that your parents came from. That may be your ethnicity, and that's your culture, and that's cool. But that doesn't necessarily make you Grand Master of all Master students just because that happens to be your background. There was this one guy, and he had a mundane day job, and it was around the time when I had first started training, and there were a lot of things that I wasn't, privy to. He just had zero patience. Now, this wasn't a teacher, again, I'm talking about a student here. He had zero patience. What was it he told me one time when we were practicing a technique? Well, if I punch you in the face, and if I break your teeth or something like that, it's your own fault. Hold your horses here for a second. I'm a new student in your school. If you hit me in the face, there's a lot of people that I know who are going to be quite pissed at you. That's what I actually said to him. He sort of backed off. There's like tough love, and then there's just being not necessarily a bully, trying to be a badass, trying to show off. It's like, hey, this is my culture, this is my background. My parents came from here, so therefore I must be the best person in class because I'm of that same ethnicity. It's not how it works, and it makes you look like a massive tool. In most cases, these guys weren't exactly the best students anyway. And they're the ones that try and imitate Bruce Lee. You see Bruce in his interview footage and all that stuff. You get guys, it's like, wow, what, you just stare at yourself in the mirror for hours and just practice these lines over and over again to say to whoever the new student is and make yourself feel like a big man? It's quite interesting. Big man or big woman, I've seen female students do that sort of thing as well. Anyway, so I hope I've given some insight into the different types of schools, teachers and students that you can encounter. Don't be afraid, get out there, have a look around, see what sort of school suits you, see what sort of style suits you. Not everybody is the same. Don't listen to what people have to say about this being crap and that being better than that. It's what makes you happy. You're passing time, you're getting out there, you're doing something productive instead of sitting around the house watching TV or being a keyboard warrior or whatever. At least you're out there doing something productive. You're learning martial arts. It's making you a better person. Well, in most cases. Again, there are destructive schools out there as well that will kind of teach you the wrong sorts of things. Have you walking around with some sort of chip on your shoulder, and then somebody's going to knock that chip right off your face. And I like chips. So don't be deceived by certain types of schools. You'll know over time what sort of school you've gotten involved in. And if you happen to be involved in a rubbish school, no problem. Learning experience. Time to look for another school. Time to look for something more practical, perhaps. Time to look for something that is more in your field. Time to look for better people to hang around with. Anyway, so I hope I've given some insight into the different types of martial arts schools that you can encounter. And, thanks for listening.